Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. This is, of course, a special episode of the show. We track what is going on in the world, and what is going on in the world right now is not great. The United States, along with Israel, has launched a war in Iran. That war has since branched out, and you are seeing explosions hitting countries in multiple parts of the Gulf. The reasoning behind why we are there, what we are hoping to achieve, whether it is good or bad, what the end goal is, what the hell is actually going on, is a little all over the place right now. So what we are going to do for you today in classic Joey Show fashion is to try and give you a little bit of a breakdown, and then also try to help you demystify why you might be hearing radically different things from radically different people, depending on what radically different forms of media they're consuming. Think of it like a pamphlet, but a fun one. Now, the topic for the day, like I mentioned, is not great. It is heavy. There's a lot of fear around what it could lead to. What are the potential good things? What are the potential bad things? But again, our mandate at this show, what we have to find a way to do, and what we always find a way to do, in addition to keeping it 100, keeping it a buck, is we're gonna keep it good, because this isn't just a news program. It's a comedy program, and beyond a comedy program, well, it's a Hunter Biden program, and then beyond all those things, it's a mental health hour. It is the best way to maintain your mental health while learning about the things that are radically degrading it. That's what we try to do. That's what we try to bring you. So if I feel like we're getting stressed out here, and if you're watching the show, you'll know that in an effort to be calming, in addition to the purple fill light and then the lovely lights behind me, I'm wearing a turtleneck and glasses. I'm trying to give you a calm sort of situation. When we get too far in, I will also play... I found a sound bath video. And so we'll be able to kind of play, some of these healing tones, and you can hear them come in. You can feel them. It's almost like a wind chime, and that allows you to take kind of a deep emotional breath, and it's not avoidant. No, but it allows you to keep going, keep probing further, keep understanding a little bit more, and I'll either throw up the video or a photo of this gentleman. It is he's lit up. The bowls are glowing, and he's kind of a white guy in a Mandarin collar, more of an Asian-inspired garb, and I find that to be unifying. That kind of brings together a global perspective. So we're going to utilize... See, that's nice. We're going to utilize the calming presence of the sound bath while we talk about the horrible war that we are executing by choice, potentially on behalf of Israel. Now, I've said a lot of things there off rip. Why am I saying that? Okay, because this is we're at an interesting inflection point here, where if you're on the internet, which a lot of us are, you will see people blame everything ever on the Jews. Now, that is not very nice, and it is incorrect. However, a lot of times people say, oh, Israel is behind this. We're doing this for Israel. Israel actually controls our government because of how powerful the foreign lobbying is. And the reason that people say that is because it's confusing. When you look at the state of play in the Middle East and in the world, and you look at a lot of the things that expose us to danger as Americans, from a terror perspective, from, as people would say, blood and treasure, from the places that we are sending our American troops to go to fight, and what benefit we were getting back. And sometimes when people look at like geopolitical strategy and they see some of the stuff that we've been doing that feels like it's more on Israel's behalf than our own, people go, well, I don't like that. Or worse, some people take it further. Now, in this case, when you're looking at why Donald Trump would choose to go into Iran, and there's a little bit of confusion around exactly why, in the best case scenario, he wants to get rid of a regime that has been horrible to its own people and has wreaked havoc upon American service members overseas and funded a lot of terrorism, and all these things are true. Paying attention to what has been happening in Iran leading up to this, there were protests and there are, a lot of different reports, but credible reporting suggesting 30,000 or so protesters killed by their own government. That is horrible. And that is why you see a lot of Iranians, particularly of the Iranian diaspora, the people of Iran who no longer live there, who escaped this regime because they were already ideologically opposed to it, very happy. And I'm happy for them. And I'm happy for their moment that the supreme leader, who was, by all accounts, a big old piece of poo, is gone. Now, that we're going to get into the fact that, yes, he's actually a Shia religious figure. So they're actually, regardless of some of the people that we are seeing joyful, there are going to be people who are not so much. And, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's almost like the Middle East is a complex place held together by sometimes very, very small, very tenuous relationships. And it appears sometimes that we waltz in there not knowing exactly what we're doing. That's just my read on the recent past. Now, I think this is a great time to bring back in the sound bath, because if I'm going to talk about, look, we've made some mistakes. We've made some mistakes. Yeah. We've made some mistakes. Iraq was a mistake. Yeah. Afghanistan didn't really end up going the way that we were hoping. Libya, kind of a mistake as well, but we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect, Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. You're at home listening, and this is a little mental health break in the middle of our conversation about the Middle East to say, hey, whatever mistakes you've made in your own life, that's okay. It's always an opportunity to grow from that, an opportunity to be better. We don't always have to be what we were in the past, but if we want to move forward, if we want to be better, sometimes we have to be honest about the past, and let's be honest about our past as Americans toppling regimes in the Middle East. A lot of times people do cheer at first, and that part of it's always nice, and it's kind of beautiful, and I want to hold space for those people right now, and I want to be happy for those people right now as they're experiencing a moment that was built on a lot of pain I can't understand, pain I'm not trying to undermine, pain I'm just trying to say, I'm here for you, I feel you. However, when we look forward at ourselves, and it's okay to be us, it's okay, but as we want to consider who we are and kind of what our behavioral patterns are, and kind of try to understand how we can change and be different and be better, we got to understand it hasn't usually gone well from this point out. There's reports that Donald Trump is on the phone with the Kurds. We rely on the Kurds a lot. But have we always been done right by them? And has their involvement in countries, led to more civil war or less? These are just questions, and we love the Kurds. Of course, we love the Kurds. So, okay, so that's important to just kind of pause and understand, pausing and understanding and just kind of thinking about our past and our future and who we want to be, who we're capable of being. I want to be our best self. I think we could be our best self. But are we? Now, the reason I brought up at the beginning of this conversation kind of the conspiratorial way that people talk about U.S. and Israeli relations, and some of it is anti-Semitic, but not all of it. Criticism of a nation does not have to be rooted in hatred for members of a particular religious group. I believe that. Well, former Senator, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, okay, who is like, most people who are paying attention to this would say his ideology is kind of in charge right now. It's a lot less of the, the like, hey, all about peace, all about America. The bill of goods that Donald Trump sold everyone to get him elected, where he said he wasn't going to do the things that he is doing exactly, that he would be freaking the fuck out about if anyone else was doing, sure. He's kind of running things. And what he said was, the reason we did this is because of Israel. That's what he said. Not a conspiracy. I'm not taking it too far. I'm just telling you what happened. The reason we are at war right now is because Israel was going to go. And per the administration, their analysis was, well, if Israel attacks, then Iran's going to attack us, so we are better off preempting that. But you're not really preempting it. You're being reactive to what Israel wants to do. This is something Israel has always wanted to do, something that Bibi Netanyahu has said this very week has been a dream of his for 40 years, that he's been working on, that he's been trying to get U.S. presidents to do, but none of them would do them until Trump. Wonder if he found anything in the files. Speculation, but reasonable. So Israel was going to do it. So because Israel was going to do it, okay, and this is basically the geopolitical game that is being played. If we attack Iran, the IRGC, okay, is in an existential battle. When you're in an existential battle, you have an advantage. You're going to throw fucking everything. So whether Israel or us attack them, well, when one person attacks them, they are going to go ape shit on U.S. bases all around the Gulf, and they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz as they have, and they're going to inflict as much damage, economic and otherwise, as they possibly can, right? Why wouldn't you? You're going to die otherwise. It's not like you get bitch slapped in the face and then you're like, nah, boys, you got us. I wish they would. Let me be clear. I'd love that. What I would personally love is if they were attacked once and then they said, all right, boys, you got us. And then they let I do believe it is the large majority of the country who does not want to live under their regime. I would love it if they would just let them have an election, maybe fire up a McDiesels, get some McDonald's going in there and just kind of do things in the way that they make sense to me. The only thing is that I'm not quite naive enough to tell you that I know everything about this. I'm not an Iran expert. I just play one on an under-listened to podcast. But everyone who has been talking about conspiracies and about, the Israel actually runs the United States. Look, I don't believe that the entire world is run by the Jews. That's what people would say, okay? But there's levels to conspiracy. And just because some people take a conspiracy to a crazy level, to a hateful level, doesn't mean that there isn't some level that is true. What we just learned this week per the actual administration, and now Trump is trying to walk it back, saying, no, I did it, because he never wants to look like a bitch, even though he is one this week. Sorry, sweetheart, you are. He's trying to say that isn't true. Well, Rubio said it was true, and Hegseth said we didn't start this war. They've all said it. Essentially what happened was we had U.S. intelligence that we shared with Israel. I don't know specifically what, but I would have to imagine it was probably about the fact that the supreme leader made a boo-boo and decided to have a big meeting with all of his boys. And this was an opportunity to take it out. at a unique time in their perspective where it was they hadn't gone far enough to reinstate their nuclear program. Maybe they felt like some of their missile capabilities, blah, 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 but they had a chance to take them all out. And so Israel was like, we're going to go. And we were like, well, if they go, then this is going to happen, so we might as well go. And so now a country that we are funding the entire military of is telling us when we're going to act in terms of something that is mostly only important for their geopolitical calculus, not ours, not popular in the United States. The worst thing you can say about Iran is like, oh, look, they're threatening Israel, which is an ally. Again, not exactly our core interests, although once again, and I'm holding space for everyone, see how possible this is in a very complex situation, I am against that regime, and they've done horrible shit, and I'm very happy for the Iranian people that are celebrating today. I'm just a little concerned, based on my reading of how we have always behaved in this country of late, if we're gonna do a great job executing. We're great at hopping in, dropping some bombs, seeing what happens. But do we have a plan? They asked Donald Trump, okay, so what is your plan for people you want to take over? Because Trump, I don't think personally has the investment in him to take out the entire IRGC. I don't think he wants to send in a huge amount of troops and go to an all-out war and then install who we want to be running Iran, because that's kind of how this would have to happen. There's no like force. We don't have people in there that are ready to do it. Like none of that's there. So either destabilize the entire thing and let it turn into a civil war and see who wins, which is not good for the infrastructure of that. It's not good because, as we know, the entire Middle East is a giant soup of a bunch of different actors. Not all of them end up loving us based on how we always kind of go over there for a little bit, fuck shit up, arm a militia, end up hating that militia, fight that militia. People fly planes into our building. Yeah, we have not been very successful there. And so I just don't know if the long-term planning is there. If we want to follow Trump's normal playbook, he wants to do some sort of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez thing where it's like, well, we took out that guy, but now we have someone and we have showed them we are boss and they need to fucking negotiate with us. So it'll actually still be the same regime, but they'll be a little bit nicer to us. And was that worth it? Hospital full of school children, over 100 girls school, dead, children, mass graves for children, dead, fighting over the source of the missile, whatever. It's because of what just happened. That's a serious thing, right? 6 U.S. service members dead. Serious thing, right? More serious, I guess, to me than Trump, because he's basically like, they died, and it's sad that they died, but it's kind of what happens, and more people will die. And then he went on, this is true, he went on at this press conference to then talk about the ballroom that he's building for 20, 30, 40 minutes. Talked about the ballroom a lot, did a lot of it from Mar-a-Lago, taking it very seriously, of course. Very seriously, of course. And see, and again, I feel like we're getting a little negative, so we need another sound bath here. Guys, because again, this is a nice hour of your week, and look, just because horrible things are going on in the world, and we do need to pay attention to them. It is right to pay attention to them. It is right to care about them. It is right to be informed, outraged, upset at times, but it's also right to know that you got to take care of yourself. Because if you're not right, how are you going to act right? How are you going to make things right in a world where so much goes wrong? You know, we really need to take care of ourselves during times like this. It strikes me that some of the worst actors on the world stage are people that haven't connected with anything real in a long time. They're just wandering around, pinballing from thing to thing, taking stimulants to stay awake, making rash decisions, screaming at reporters. They're really locked in us versus them, and they never think about humanity, the cost of it, the cost of human life, what they want for their own, what they want their legacy to be. They don't think about that. Okay, folks. So there it is. So there's a lot going on. So we're in a situation where we've been dragged into a war that is devastating the economy, that I don't think we have a full plan for, that I think we're going to seek an off-ramp for. However, Trump's administration has reached out to the Iranians multiple times to negotiate, because he kind of did his like, boom, gotcha, all right, now let's talk. And they said they don't want to, because their strategic position is that if they come to a ceasefire too soon without exacting damage and making it look too easy for Israel and the United States, then what's to stop them from ever doing it again? That makes sense. I'm not rooting for them, but you have to understand the logic of the players on the ground. You know, it concerns me in this country that when we get into war mode, we just see things through a little lens of like, they're good, they're bad. You know, the supreme leader is bad. I agree. What's the plan? You know, and then people are like kind of fighting in this country because then other people are like, well, Trump is bad, so supreme leader good? No. Doesn't have to do that. Don't have to do that. Complex situation. It's a tough sitch, guys. It's a tough sitch. We got to think about all of it. Now, I'm going to give you a little, I think right here what I'm going to do is just give you a little bit of like a rundown of what people in your life may be thinking depending on what they consume. Because it's important to know. Like when something like this happens, you might be out, maybe you're at a party. Someone's had a little bit too much to drink, and they have been listening to this all week, and they haven't been able to talk to anyone about it, and they're going to bring it up to you, and you're not going to want to talk about it. Not at the party, not at the kickback. You've been paying attention to it all week. Do you really have to do it? It's Friday night. It's Friday night. Do we really have to do this right now? And the problem is yes, because someone's going to pull up whiskey on the breath and be like, Iran shit's crazy, huh? Iran shit's crazy, huh? I mean, what's going on over there? Now, that person is drunk, but they're probing because they want to know what you're going to say. They want to know where you're coming from because you don't really know at this point. You don't really know. Let's imagine this is again, whiskey on the breath, white boy, hair slicked back. He could be coming from any direction. You have no fucking idea. Maybe depending on where you are in your life, people only approach you a certain way. I am camouflage. I look like whatever. I look like whatever people want me to look like. So people will come up to me with whatever political opinion and just bounce it off me like I'm a safe space. They don't know that I actually have my own thoughts. I'm a whole human boy. And I actually have my own political perspective, and a lot of times it's not the same as theirs. But, you know, they look at me and they're like, safe space. Come on, buddy. So you need to be ready. You need to be ready. So a guy comes up and he's like, Saran shit's kind of crazy, huh? You find out what they've been paying attention to. If they've been paying attention to mainstream media, obviously, like we don't even have to do Fox, MSNBC, CNN, because you kind of know where all those leans are, but it's a little bit different these days because now the mainstream media in general, like there's always been, because of their proximity to DC, there's always just been a patina of pro-war. Like there just is, because like they're going to be talking to generals, they're going to be talking to people, they're going to have sources. Their sources are going to be people that are like, look, they were pretty close to a bomb, and like that's what they're hearing. But honestly, that person is also just feeding them the fucking company line. So even if you're watching like an MSNBC, you're watching like a Rachel Maddow, she might not even be covering the did Israel get us into this angle. She's doing more of these days. She's doing more of a Saudi Arabia Jared Kushner thing because the Saudis paid Jared Kushner a shitload of money. And we were like, well, he's never going to be in the government again. But now he actually is kind of doing the negotiations again. He was actually in the negotiations, and then all this happened. So, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. But there's going to be like a little bit of a this is crazy. But then, like, the next thing everyone is going to say is like, well, it's good, it's good the Supreme Leader's out of there, And so that's kind of just what it'll be. It'll be a little pro-war. It'll be dipping a toe in, but, it's not going to be, like, fully committed unless they're watching Fox, and then I assume it'll just be like Trump is God, right? If you're listening to Ben Shapiro, okay, if this person is listening to a Ben Shapiro podcast, this person will be under the impression this is the greatest thing that has ever happened on planet Earth. And that anyone who is skeptical of this is a part of the cuck coalition. These are his words. The cuck coalition. Lefties who are so gay, I guess, that they don't want Trump to win. And people on the right that are so anti-Semitic that they won't let Trump win. That's his general perspective on this whole thing, is like, if you're not with this, you're just an idiot who is anti-Semitic, a grifter, or just lefty, like, bad, because, Ben is torn between sucking off the current administration and Netanyahu. That's kind of his spot. If you're listening to the Pod Save America guys, right, this would be more of a center-left podcast, people from the Obama coalition. Their thing is going to be like, this was all a war of choice, right? And it is starting with getting rid of our deal, the Iran nuclear deal, which would have saved all of this. And after Trump tore that up and then continued making crazy decision after crazy decision, now we're in a very unpopular war for no reason at all, basically. I'm sympathetic to that view, I'm not going to lie. Tucker Carlson, he is, of course, more a right-wing, but these days the angle that he's taking is like, this is fully Israel. Like, fully. Like, his angle is not only, as confirmed, did we get into this war because Israel was going. That is confirmed. That's non-controversial. His argument is that this is their moment to fully take over the Middle East. And the reason they are doing this is because they want Iran destabilized. They are already, and this is true, they are already starting to turn their sights to Turkey, saying Turkey is the new Iran. This is a direct quote, I believe, from Naftali Bennett, but from, major Israeli officials. If I got that name wrong, it's not the most important thing. It's out there. It's true. You can check it. I don't want to waste time on my computer, and I'm doing this alone. But his thing is that, and his thing is basically it's all Israel, and they not only do they want to destabilize Iran, move towards Turkey, and make sure that every regional power is basically crippled and unstable aside from them, so that they can just whack-a-mole down these downtrodden, beaten down neighbors with no real other power in the region. But that they even wanted to embarrass us. As you can see now, what's happening is that our allies, our bases in other countries, our consulate in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, getting hit. Okay? Nice hotels in Dubai, the UAE, getting hit. They want us to realize that we are fucked and that we should finally just remove ourselves and that they can just control the entire Middle East. That's what he's saying. Now, I don't totally understand because they kind of need us to do all that. So I don't totally understand all of that. But I'm just saying, like, he's the one taking it to another level. He's like the last president to even challenge Israel was JFK, and then he's going, well, look what happened. And then he's talking about 9/11, and he's going, release the files. I'm saying he's taking it far, far. And some of you may be there, and other people may be like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going through and telling you information that millions of people are getting from each of these sources so that you can know what you're up against at a party. That's what I'm helping you with. And in the process, we are learning. We are learning what people think. And isn't that interesting? I wish I knew some more Iranian podcasts. And I could give you that perspective. But I imagine there'd be some slightly different perspectives. Because if you're big into the Shia community, not so happy right now. And then, of course, Breaking Points is a podcast that I try to listen to from time to time. It's good, and they're general. I would say they're going to be much more. They're while it is perspectives from left and right, they come together as both very anti-war, and their general take is like, this is a gross and diabolical miscalculation by Trump being let in by Israel, and not great. Not fucking great from anywhere. But again, let's calm down a little bit, because it's not great. Yeah, we're really not sure where any of this is going to go. But let's put it out there that while I am not supportive of it, and while I'm very skeptical of it, based on the man in charge, who I don't think is particularly capable of prosecuting a well-thought-out, long-game Middle East strategy that is more brilliant than those of anyone who has ever come before him, because he's much more focused on a ballroom and is also fully incapable of controlling the soldiers that he sends to the streets of our own fucking country that he should know a lot better than he certainly knows the Middle East, I will say. What if it did work out? What if it was just nice? You can never fully assume, you don't want to act on it, but you can never fully, I'm not rooting for things to work out in a good way that benefits the people of Iran, who deserve freedom from this horrible regime, and that we can have a happy little democracy, and that I can plan trips. Maybe I could plan trips there soon, and it would be nice, and it'll just be nicer, and it'll all calm down in a couple days. I think for me, I'm just a little skeptical based on how we've done things in the past, and every single piece of information that I've gathered this week and paid attention to. But hey, I don't know everything, and maybe that's empowering. Maybe that's the nice feeling, is that we all just need to surrender to something bigger than us. You know, there's a big moon out there. What is it, a blood moon or some big moon people are excited about? The moon's nice. The moon is nice. I don't think about the moon enough. I get caught up in kind of these fights, these back and forths. Who's doing what? Why are they doing it? Are they doing it for any of us? And really, I should just be thinking about the moon. It's made of cream cheese. I like cream cheese. So some fun thoughts. A nice little break. A nice little break for us there, just to bring us back. We don't want to get too wound up here. We don't want to get too wound up. I think it's just one of those things that, like, I don't want to pretend like people don't have competing narratives and worldviews, and I don't want to do that thing that Hollywood celebrities, not that I'm a Hollywood celebrity, but I don't want to do that thing that people do where it's like, what if we could all just get along, man? You know, like go full Beatles, full John and Yoko, and I'm just fucking naked ripping peyote, banging my Japanese visual art installation ass wife who broke up the band, and just going like, what if it was all cool, man? You know, really at the end of the day, we're all just people, man. We're all just trying to have a deep breath and a glass of water, maybe even a cheeky pint. Like, I want to believe that, but sometimes it's naive. Like, I don't think, if I sat down with a member of the IRGC, if that was my guest, and I would love to have a member of the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps on, and not because I support them, but just because I support conversation. Like, if they were sitting here, I don't know that we would, like, get on like chaps, right? But it's important to note that while that's not true, my real concern is, like, who's actually benefiting here when we're all talking shit to one another? Because, like, I think I would get along with most of the people of Israel I'd love to visit. I think I'd get along with most of the people of Iran I'd love to visit. I think at some level, the people are getting torn apart by the people who are pretending to do it on your behalf, and we know they are not. And we know they are not. We know people are making money off this war, not that it's just for money. I know ideology's here. But it's one of those things where it's like, we can talk about Israel, let us into this. And then people are like, oh, fuck the Israelis. And it's like, well, I don't know exactly where everyone's at on this. Like, I don't know exactly who wants this. I don't want buildings blowing up in Tel Aviv. I don't want schools blowing up in Tehran. I don't want our base in Kuwait blowing up, killing American soldiers. Like, do they even want that? They're the ones fighting the war. Do they want to be fighting Iran right now? Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know. It's just that, like, it's really easy to Trumpify things and be like, they're all evil. They want to kill all civilization. And then it's like, well, what do they think about you and why? And that's not moral relativism. It just speaks to the distaste I have for people who overly simplify obviously complex topics. And when you pay attention to the discourse happening in this country right now, that's what a lot of it is. It's gross, it's disgusting, it's basic, it's stupid, and it's being led at the top by a guy who I find to be a fucking idiot. Let's be honest. I talked a little bit about JFK earlier in this, and I can't remember if I've played this clip before, but there's a clip of him talking about the Middle East, and it's striking how relevant it is today, not just because I think it's an interesting and well thought out analysis, and because it makes you yearn for a time when a president had a good head on his shoulders, at least for the time being. Sorry for the JFK joke. It's been long enough. But it's also sad, because the fact that it still resonates means we haven't even come close to considering learning a fucking lesson. This is in 1960 something. Okay? This is JFK talking about the Middle East.
Mr. Kennedy, I believe you also visited the Middle East on your trip. Now, why is it that we Americans have so many enemies in the Middle East today?
Well, I think that there's two reasons. In the first place, all of these countries, stretching from French North Africa to the South China Sea, French Indochina, all of these countries have been or still are under the domination of Western powers, the so-called white powers. And there, therefore, is a heritage of animosity and hatred directed against the West, and as we are the strongest of the Western powers, we fall heir to a great deal of that. Secondly, these people live on a marginal level. Their standard of living is very low. Most of them are illiterate. They have this past history of Western exploitation. The communists, or at least the Russians, have not had a comparable colonial experience in this area. They move among the people and say, how could you be worse off than you now are? Come with us and you might be better off. It's compounded by the fact that in some of these countries they have native oligarchies who are corrupt and are not concerned about the welfare of the people. All these things compound in these difficult days make for a fertile field for communist infiltration and weakness for the West.
Well, now, what can we do, sir, to retrieve the situation?
Well, I think that the odds are against us in Southeast Asia. We might as well recognize it. But nevertheless, there are some things that we can. No, I wouldn't write it off because I don't think we can afford to do it. But I think that, in the first place, I don't see any point in giving these governments large sums of money. But I would, because a lot of it would be wasted, but I would, and we haven't got it anymore, but I would give them technical assistance. We have done that in India. We sent out people from the Department of Agriculture who showed them how to increase their food productivity, which is their great shortage. And I would support the natives in those areas and their aspirations, even if they don't always do what we want them to do. I would support the free countries of India, Asia, India, Ceylon, Indonesia, Burma. I would support the native aspirations in countries like Iran, even if it happens to be against the interests of the West. That's right. And their attempts and liberal groups, and even if they happen to be working against the Western powers with which we're closely allied. I think we have to support the natives in their attempts to be independent, or otherwise that those areas will be seized by the communists.
Now, he's, of course, talking about communism, but you can supplant that with anything else. You can talk it about, you can say extremism. In fact, a lot of the forces that have risen up and taken hold in these places are forces that may not be great for the general public, but are basically like, well, it's either that or get fucking exploited by the U.S. It's hard for people to remember this. People used to like us, actually, globally. Like not just on the like, oh, Europe and Canada hate us because of Trump, and that is important, but that's not what we're talking about right now. I'm talking about like in the Middle East, like we were seeing, there was a real window there where people were like, whoa, this might actually be a place that fights for freedom. There was an ideology of it. Sure, we've never been perfect at it, but there was an ideology, and we were run by people like this who said something very interesting there that I don't know if I could imagine a politician even saying anymore. Where he was basically like, yeah, I think we have to support the native people of these areas, even if they don't do exactly what we say. Whoa. It's fucking crazy. There's crazy, like, nuanced comprehension that your actions do have consequences. And whether or not you have the firepower to win particular conflicts, there is blowback. There's always blowback to everything we do in our own lives. And that can be stressful to think about. But also, it's okay. It's okay to think about and recognize that and try to be better and learn from our past mistakes and consider the fact that sometimes, things are going to come back and get us. But that doesn't mean we can't learn and be better. Folks, let's learn and be better. Now, they killed that man. They did kill that man, JFK. Who did? Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. That one is up in the air. But that's okay. You know, it's not all bad news. There's some fun stuff. This one here is, while this is going on, while we're at war, we do have, under the name tag President of the United States, we do have Melania at the UN. Let's check in here.
We must capture this positive energy and ignite it across continents to transform our world throughout our digitally connected human race. Intellect blossoms humanity's fundamental needs: shelter, food security, clean water, and healthcare. And predictably, almost all communities will have access to knowledge within our lifetimes.
They come here, they should really learn the language. I'm not going to lie. If they're going to come here, they want to take our jobs, they want to say, oh, I'm President of the United States. They got to learn the language, folks. They got to learn the language. Now, I don't think she asked for all this, so I want to, give her some grace here. I don't want to freak out on her. This has been bothering me because there's a phrase out there that everyone loves to, a lot of people love to use, and they think that it works. They think it's clever. They think it's smart. And it's just because they heard someone else say it, and they say, you got Trump derangement syndrome. You got TDS. The TDS is strong with this one. And what these people are referring to is the concept, and this is real, that some people hate Trump so much that they wouldn't be capable of giving him credit even for something obviously good. Like if Trump cured cancer, there is an amount of like liberal general like wine moms who would be like, I'm not taking it. Who would be like, I'm not taking the Trump cancer pill, because Trump would name it Trump and he'd put a T on it. And there are some with cancer that they would be like, well, I'm not taking that because I don't trust him. Like that is real. That is real. But I really think it's important to note that what I see most often is people who have Trump derangement syndrome in the other direction, where they think everything that he is doing is great just because he's doing it. And it's the same people that use this phrase and think they're dunking on other people, not realizing they're doing the exact same thing themselves. Let's do a thought exercise, okay? This is Trump derangement syndrome. People have it, okay? People in his base have it. Let's say that in the last election, Hillary won. Not the first one, the last one. Instead of Kamala, it was Hillary. This will be a cleaner example. Let's say Hillary won, and Hillary was in charge of the United States government. And She said we're going to release the Epstein files, and then she said there's actually nothing there. And then Congress made them release the Epstein files, and there was tons of stuff there. And then as people were going through the exercise of looking in those files, they realized that the DOJ under her watch had removed, and this did happen, certain files relating to her. Okay, these were removed. There were files and interviews from the period of time that was supposed to be released relating to allegations from someone that the FBI interviewed saying that Trump raped the child. That's what they said, okay? And they disappeared from that file dump. Imagine if Hillary Clinton had done that and they were related to Bill. Imagine how people would behave. Imagine if Hillary Clinton had just gone to war with Iran after making a military action in Venezuela after having previously bombed Iran. What would Trump be saying on Twitter, and what would people be agreeing with? He would actually be of more use to this country on Twitter because somehow he would have been saying the probably right thing. That's what's funny about it. It's a very interesting game. Imagine, actually, if a Democrat was in, let's say it was Gavin Newsom, and let's say he married some kind of hot Colombian chick, but she didn't speak very good English, and he just sent her to the UN to talk in broken English about God knows fucking what. And let's wonder what people would be saying. It's an interesting exercise when you're trying to figure out if maybe you yourself have Trump derangement syndrome. Now, all this can be happening. And what is the thing that I would like to move us towards that I think we're moving further away from? Cohesive thought, adult conversation, reverence for what is happening in this war. We're so used to Trump, we don't really care. But the fact that U.S. service members died, and he was like, there's going to be a lot more. It's just what happens. While wearing a hat and a shirt, no tie at his golf course. What would you be saying otherwise? None of that takes away from the fact that he's not capable of being right about something. None of that takes away from the fact that there aren't good things about a horrible regime going away. I can hold all these things in my mind at the same time while saying we need to get a lot smarter or we're going to keep making stupid fucking mistakes. And I really hope this doesn't end up being one of them. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, please, this is the most important news of the day on my end. I'm going to put the link in the description here, but the link for my special is live. It's not up yet, so what's going to happen for my debut comedy special, Joey Avery Live in San Francisco, it's going to be premiering on my YouTube, which means at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, this Sunday, March 8th, it's going to be playing live on my YouTube, and we're all going to be able to watch it together. I'm going to be in the chat. I'll be responding to people, hanging out, and it'll be a really fun way to view it. Have a viewing party. Have a friend. That would be an awesome way to support me. Take a picture, tag me on Instagram. I'll be tagging people, it'll be fun to get as many people in there for the live experience as we can. Now, I say that because it'll be fun, and I also say that because here's the deal. My YouTube, it ain't popping. You're on this channel, you know that. My other one's still kind of fighting through, but I know that the quality of content is there, and I think the special is going to be great, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So the more people that are in there, the more it helps get it out there. So even if you're busy, fucking throw it on your YouTube, toss a like in there, go walk your dog or do whatever. Watch it on your own time, bookmark it, save it, whatever. But I'm just excited. I'm excited. It's nice to have a little moment, put something out. I put out so much crowd work, but the actual hour of material I'm excited to put out. Now, do I have some jokes about the military-industrial complex? Yes. And are those ever relevant now? Also, yes. Fuck it. I will play one of those jokes as a little bit of a teaser. I already posted this one, but it's relevant to what we've been talking about. We spend a lot on defense or offense. Honestly. We haven't had a home game in years, dude. I gotta. At some point, I'm like, I'm paying for the bats and balls. I want to see the fellas play. You know, they did score 2 on us in 01, but don't forget, dude. That's why we had to change up our defense. Now I'm shoeless at the airport, like, oh yeah, fuckface? You gonna score on me? Nice fucking try, Ahmed. Or whatever your name is. Or whatever your name is. I'm not being racist. I'm being nationalist, if anything, because it is fair to say that all the hijackers on 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. Don't let the fact that we destroyed 2 entirely different nations distract you, because that's how we get you, all right? Like, I'm just bringing it up because I just learned that. I honestly didn't know. I didn't know. I had no idea they were all from Saudi Arabia until the Saudis started this live golf league and started fucking with the PGA, and then I was like, I'm sorry, what the fuck's going on over here, dude? You can bonesaw a journalist, but if you touch the Masters, I'm on your ass, fuckface. All right? I got lines in the sand, yours or mine, brother. All right, we got problems. All right, folks. Now here's a funny clip. We'll do a funny clip and then a depressing tweet, and we'll get on out of here relatively soon. But this clip is almost like a palate cleanser, kind of a nice little moment here. This is on Fox News. Gentleman here is trying to ask a question to a general here who really doesn't want the glaze.
Well, it's not 100% clear to me, General, and that's not to suggest that I don't support 100% what is happening, nor that I 100% offer my support. I just think I want to ask a couple of critical questions, and I hope you know how much respect I have for your service, and I think it goes without saying to anybody watching how much respect I have for the men making this decision.
You don't have to patronize me. Just ask the question. Go ahead. Come on, ask it.
To be clear, General, I'm not patronizing you. I'm trying to have a very serious conversation in front of the American people. The men making these decisions have my utmost respect. This is less about you than everybody making these decisions. And this is about the American people understanding the investment.
Dude, get off his dick and stop doing tricks on it. Nobody likes that. This was a nice moment because it was like, this dude was so in his Fox News moment, like on his knees begging to lick some boot. And the guy who's actually in there is like, you doing too much. Hey, the fuck? Hey, girl, stop. You doing too much. Throw it back on it if you want, but god damn, you being too thirsty with it. You can't be that much of a bitch and get the respect of a general. You're not going to suck someone's dick from the back on your way into the Pentagon. Like, at least that guy was like, I don't have time for this shit. What is happening? And it's a nice moment. It's a little reminder. The best thing you can do, no matter what your politics and beliefs are, is come to your own educated opinion and not glaze the fuck out of anybody. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants their dick sucked until it's raw and they can't even spray anymore. People have self-respect. You don't need to respect them for them. In fact, I thought you were part of a media. Now, this is the thing. This is the problem with the merger of politics and entertainment. Now, this is obviously what we're engaging in right here, but everyone knows what fucking time it is here. When you're making a show, you have to think about what makes sense for this show. I don't do that. That's why we're not successful. But in general, you're supposed to be like, what is the voice of this show and what's going to make sense and fit into the framework of this show? It's why things are so predictable. Fox News isn't going, how do we find the truth? Fox News is saying, how do we serve our viewer? CNN is doing the same thing, but they will say, we are getting to the truth. Like, they will all say that, but they're really like, if you're in a meeting You're looking at ratings, you're looking at ad dollars, and you're going, why are people turning us off? And if you're telling them shit they don't want to hear, they might turn you off. And that's your only job. And so it's just funny that this, journalistic establishment. Now, there are real journalists doing real good work, and I think they're finding their way a little bit more online than other places. And online obviously has some fucking horse shit out there too. But like Dropsite, places like that are putting out good journalism and finding an audience for that. But it's just funny to watch someone who's supposed to be a journalist realize, all right, I got to suck this dude's dick because he's a general and my people are going to want to see that. Now, I'm not saying that dude is a liar, that he's suppressing some incredible Pulitzer Prize winning instinct. I'm saying he's put in that position because he'd be great at it. If I didn't figure out how to be, let's be honest, if I was a little bit dumber, less hot, not as funny, and a little bit less riz, and I wasn't able to just find my way to figure out stand-up, which is what I wanted to do, which allows me to say whatever the fuck I want, I probably would have ended up at one of these places. Let's be honest, because I'd be nice at it, dude. I would be nice at it, okay? If I was a little more divved up, to be honest. If I was a little bit dumber, okay, and I hadn't found a way to do what I want to do, and I hadn't found a way to, talk about bigger things in life that I enjoy through stand-up, or even more importantly, asking you fucking whores what you do for work, I could see how you just end up at you're like, dude, I got on air. I'm on TV. This is fucking sick. And then you're like, dude, I'm doing the news. I'm actually important. And then your boss comes in and is like, a little more of this, a little bit of that. And you're like, well, I don't know. I think we should do this. And he's like, dude, your ratings are slipping. We're going to have to pull someone else. And you go, oh, okay, yeah. Let me suck that general's cock. And then the general comes in and is like, dude, you're fucking whack. And everyone online is like, oh, what a bitch. Tough for that guy. Feel for him if he wasn't a net negative for society. Fucking pussy. Now, that's the fun side. The less fun side, and this is credible reporting here. This has been fact-checked by a lot of different sources, left, right, center, AI, whatever. This is true. U.S. commanders across more than 30 military bases told troops, over 30, folks, told troops the Iran war is part of God's plan and linked to Armageddon. A commander said Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has received over 110 similar complaints describing the war as biblically sanctioned and a sign of the Christian end times. Well, that's not ideal. Well, that's really not ideal at all. In one of the fact checks, it said, yes, there were over 110 complaints submitted. So people are hearing this, okay, from, and I will put this, I'm going to say this as clearly as I possibly can, okay? I respect people's differing religions, but if you are one of the sick, demented, idiotic freaks who has put yourself in a position of power within our armed forces because of a demented, and I will say false belief that you're going to bring back Jesus via the Armageddon because Trump was anointed by him to blow up school children in Iran so that he can vibe his way back into town. You are a sick fuck. You are wrong. You should die. That's what I think. Now, this is important, and here's my thesis of the episode. Okay? Because we can say that. We can say that you are freaks. We can say that the Christian fundamentalists that aid every part of the Israeli project because they want their own Armageddon to come because they believe they will be saved by Jesus and the Jews themselves will be smited, they are freaks. In fact, any religious figure that isn't watered down through the scripture that was made to force people into a cult-like groupthink and force repeated sign-up. Any actual prophet, religious figure who was close to God, who was close to anything good and beautiful and right, would say that we should protect all people, especially children, regardless of what country they are in. And while all this is going on, we can say that you guys are some sick fucking freaks while maintaining love for people of your same religion, which is how I can say I think it's disgusting that we are getting dragged into a war that doesn't behoove us by Israel without having negative feelings towards the Jewish people, which is why I can also say, fuck the IRGC, and it's a good thing that the Supreme Leader was taken out, while also being concerned for the safety of the people in Iran based on our track record of what happens when we fuck shit up in the Middle East. Now, it is possible that come next week, none of this episode will be relevant because we will have pulled out in some sort of way and we've figured everything and everyone will be like, you guys are pussies, we were right, whatever. And I hope so. I'm begging that. I would love to look like an idiot for a little bit on this pod, but it doesn't seem to happen because all this shit I said about Trump that I was like, I don't know, maybe his anti-war doesn't seem really in his nature, but that would be his one good thing. Well, it doesn't really seem to be happening. And I don't feel great about this, but I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for the best outcome, baby, because I am with humanity. And even with the U.S. a little bit, because I'm one of us. But not when we do this shit! Fuck! I mean, fuck. I don't really know what else to do there, folks. Please watch the special this week. And here's the deal, because again, there was a lot this episode, and it wasn't all uplifting. But it doesn't mean you can't have a great week. It doesn't mean you can't be your best self. It doesn't mean you can't show up for other people in your life. There's a lot of stress with things that are outside of our control, but sometimes things are in our control, and we can handle those. And the more we handle those, the more we can shine our light outward and try to be better in a world of people who aren't their best. That's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joey Avery. This is The Joey Show. I will see you next week. The special will be out. That will be exciting. And I might have a fun guest for you next week. Musician, maybe something a little bit different. We'll see if that works out. Love you guys. See you next week. Namaste.